Hi everybody, Andy from Audio Keller here. Today I'm back with another amp dyno video. I'm very happy that I can present a little newer amplifier which is from the Power series. This amp is called the Power 451S and the ratings are 115 watts of continuous power into a 4 ohm load and 225 watts of continuous power into a 2 ohm load. So it's doing 450 watts, bridged mono, 4 ohms. I took a look inside the amplifier and it was very similar to the Punch 100.2 which I tested some weeks or month ago, and the only difference I saw was in the power supply section. Is there a difference between the standard Punch series and the Power series? So first look here, you can see the power connections, they are way thicker. I can take bigger cables, that's an advantage, I really like it. And the slope of the filters is completely different. The standard Punch series feature a 12 dB per octave slope and this amplifier features a slope of 24 dB. And here you have the RCA inputs, and on the left you have the gain, and on the right you have the gain for each channel. And the crossover frequency is variable from 50 Hz to 250 Hz. You can set the filters to high pass, all pass or low pass filter. And there you have a RJ45 jack. You can connect a Punch bass remote. That means you can add a boost of 18 dB at a frequency of 45 Hz. The Power 451S is connected to the dummy load. Everything is prepared for the amp dyno. This amplifier doesn't have the typical power on LED you may know. This one has a nice logo which is illuminated if you turn on the amplifier. I turn on. So you see the Rockford logo in a nice blue. Nice power on indicator. And of course I start with a 1 kHz continuous power test into a 4 ohm load per channel. That means I have a bridged mono load connected to the amplifier of 8 ohms. Well, too much. That's good. Taking this one. Let's have a look at the peak voltage. I have 67.2 volts. Bridged mono into 8 ohms, the amplifier delivers 289 watts. That means I have around 144.7 watts into a 4 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. Same continuous power test, but this time with a 50 Hz input signal. In this case, I got the peak voltage of 65.6 volts. With 50 Hz, the amplifier still delivers a bridged mono power at 8 ohms of 275 watts. That means the amplifier puts out 138 watts of continuous power with 50 Hz into a 4 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. Let's have a look at the efficiency. Here you see the idle current, and now I give full power into both channels with 1 kHz. The amplifier pulls out 30.5 amps. With continuous power I calculated an efficiency of 68.9%. Dynamic power test 20 cycles, and I found out that I don't have dynamic headroom. I adjusted the gain to the point where I have no clipping at the first cycles, and of course on the last cycle we have very similar output voltage to the continuous power test. You see this here, 67.2 volts, so no dynamic headroom. Dynamic power test burst modus with 8 milliseconds and a pause of 24 milliseconds. Everything happens 31 times per second. It looks like this. You have burst, pause, 8 milliseconds, 24 milliseconds, 8 milliseconds. It's kind of continuous power test. Let's have a look at the voltage. Oh, we get a little bit more. We have 70.8 volts. With 8 milliseconds, I have an output power of 160 watts into a 4 ohm load, both channels driven. If I calculate the efficiency with an 8 milliseconds test, we have an efficiency of 76.8%. When I test with continuous power, the amplifier pulled 30.5 amps out of my power supply. But if I take the 8 milliseconds burst test, check out what the amplifier pulls out of the power supply. So only 8.9 amps, 8.8, 8.9 amps. Now I connected a 4 ohm monoload and we test 2 ohms per channel, both channels driven. First test, of course, continuous power 1 kilohertz. Fine tuning. Still grows. Oh, clipping. I go back. Still clipping. That's okay. And we have an output voltage of 59.6 volts. In this case, I reached 227.5 watts into 2 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. That means mono 4 ohms, 455 watts. Let's have a look at the amplifier's efficiency. 52.6 amps. The amplifier delivers an efficiency at 2 ohms, both channels driven, of 63.2%. And the next continuous power test into 2 ohms, both channels driven, but this time with 50 hertz. Capture this one. And we have an output voltage of 58 volts. With 50 hertz, the amplifier puts out 215.6 watts into a 2 ohm load, both channels driven. Dynamic power test with 20 cycles, 2 times per second. That looks okay. Go to the center cycles. Oh, sorry. They also look okay. Let's have a look at the voltage. 60 volts. Have a look at the last cycle if it's clipped or not. They are all at the same voltage level. This is what I always do when testing. Well, it's okay. Dynamically, with 20 cycles, I have measured an output power bridged mono 4 ohms of 461.6 watts and 230.8 watts per channel into a 2 ohm load, both channels driven. And with this, I have an efficiency of 64%. Just more information for the test with 8 milliseconds. You see the first cycle is bigger and these are clipped, so I jump to the last cycle. And they are way lower. You can see this here, they go down. If I take a single shot, you see this here, it goes a little bit down here. And they are also clipped. So in this case, if I have something like this, I'm going to measure clean power at the last cycle. If the last cycle is okay, we can take the center cycle. Last cycle is okay. We can take all cycles which are clip free now. Now I go down, let's have a look. It's not much more, it's just 60.8 volts. I got just a few watts more. Now I have bridged mono 474 watts into a 4 ohm load and 237 watts into a 2 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. Will the amplifier put out more power at 2 ohms mono? That means 1 ohm per channel. Let's find out. Here are my burst signals. First cycle, okay. Center cycles, also okay. I jump to the last cycle. to obtain clean output power. Just test with clean output power. Everything else is not useful for me. But it's okay, no clipping here. I go to the center. All cycles are at the same voltage level. And what kind of voltage do we have? Let's find out. Yes, we can calculate with 50 volts. That's impressive. The power 451S puts out 625 watts. Mono 2 ohms. That's 312.5 watts into a 1 ohm load per channel, both channels driven with 20 cycles. And now the 8 millisecond burst test with 8 cycles. Here we have it. All cycles at the same voltage level. I have a look at the center cycle. Everything okay? Last cycle. Also okay. I take all cycles and a screenshot to have a look at the maximum voltage. It's 51.6 volts. And with 51.6 volts and the 8 millisecond burst test, the amplifier puts out a little more. It puts out 665 watts, mono 2 ohms and 332 watts into a 1 ohm load per channel, both channels driven.
Thanks for watching and see you next time on the next Amp Dyno video. Bye bye!